it once when I entered the military. I did it again when I became a law enforcement officer, and I did it again to take this seat up here. I fully understand and subscribe to the meaning of that oath of office. They're not just words that get memorized and repeated. So I just wanted to make that abundantly clear to anybody that might have questions about that. There was a comment, I think it was Mr. Miller, attempted to paraphrase Lieutenant Brock's comment, and I don't think he got it quite right. Lieutenant Brock didn't say that SB 454 doesn't impact the city. He said it had no impact on their police operations. So I just wanted to make sure that that's clarified, that nobody is implying that SB 454 has impacted or not impacted the city. We're all entitled to our own perspectives on that. The question that was posed to the lieutenant was relative to what impact, if any, it's had on the day-to-day operations of the police department. So I wanted to make that clarification. So I'll hold off any more comments right now and defer to other counsel. Linda?
Okay. In addition to what Russ said about the oath we take, and that it is not just words, that oath of office includes supporting the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California. When we were getting the presentation from our city attorney and the questions regarding operations of Hemet PD, they also take that same oath, and it is an oath to support both constitutions. Now, since SB 54 is now a law in the state of California, a concern of Hemet PD was, how do we, as police officers, opt out of a state law? You can't. What we wanted to find out through the legal channel of what SB 54 actually says is that, will it legally impede or impair or in any way put our officers in any way in a harmful position from any type of prosecution or any type of situation coming down from the state of California in the daily job that they do? And was pointed out, they don't really, this doesn't really affect their day-to-day operation, because we do not hold, we do not do that type of thing, and if anyone is held, arrested, and released, those names are made public, which is what the sheriff in Orange County is doing. Now, that's a whole different situation when we get into, to me, this is two sides. I am here to protect Hemet PD at all costs. I won't do anything that will put any of them in jeopardy in any way, shape, or form. Now it comes to the insanity that happens in Sacramento, and it's insanity. These are my personal words. It has no reflection on council or on PD. My husband was retired Border Patrol. 25 years in California. You'd think we would have been smart and moved back to Connecticut, but we didn't. So I also know the good, the bad, and the ugly about immigration, legal and illegal. When it comes down to what SB 54 does in tying the hands, in many instances, of federal law enforcement for carrying out their duties, it's in complete violation of the U.S. Constitution, and I would have to say I don't agree with SB 54 at all. The thing that, no, I don't want any interruptions on this. Just let me talk. One of the things that we tend to forget when we talk about immigration is that one is legal and one is illegal. And to me, the definition of illegal is it's against the law. So all of my grandparents were immigrants. England, Norway, and Germany. They all came here legally. And that's the thing. Do our immigration laws have to be changed? Absolutely. Are we right now in a position that we're talking about what's happening in Washington? Because they can be just as insane as Sacramento. Things have to change. But SB 54, in my opinion, is something that, while we, quote, can't opt out, we need to stand up and oppose it. Thank you.
I think that was a really good analogy for that, with regards to, well, for everything. Well, actually about the idea of opposing or opting out. It is our job, and I will tell you right now that I'm just as strong in my faith and the importance of the oath of office that we take. And I, like Russ, have taken it several times for various different positions that I've held. And it means just as much for one as it does the other. And when I wake up in the morning, I appreciate the fact that we stand up for this country and that, for the most part, we appreciate the luxury of being an American citizen. However, it is our job to make sure that we protect and keep our citizens safe. That is number one for us, at least for me. That we do whatever it is possible, keep our officers out of harm's way and our citizens as well. They have to do their due process. We all know, well, most of us know that this bill is unfair, certainly for the most part unconstitutional. And I, like many of you, cannot believe that we have to continuously fight for this country on a local level, state level, and federal level for what we know is right and just. So I am also opposed to SB 54. I appreciate the fact of one of our speakers saying we should not have to be here. However, I do appreciate every single one of you being here because, like us, it means that much to you as well. So I applaud you for being here and standing up for what you believe is right as well. Even those there were many that didn't speak, we know where your hearts are. You had to raise your hand. So I thank you for that. And I could go on. I appreciate the comments that my colleagues have made as well. And I certainly support their positions as well. Thank you.
So I think that you can see, well, first I want to correct the record. There are several people that said that we live in a democracy, which in fact we do not live in a democracy. We live in a representative republic. And it's a little bit different than a direct democracy in the fact that we're elected to represent you. And I think that the people that sit up here have a pretty good handle on representing you, the citizens of Hemet. And I want to point out, Russ and everybody said, talked about the oath of office. And like Russ, I too have taken it several times when I became a police officer, and then when I went into the military, and then again when I went to the Planning Commission, and then again when I came here. So we are all very familiar with that oath and what it means to this position, this office, and to this community. I come from a family of military. My grandfathers served before me. My dad served before me. I served, and now both of my boys have served, and one of them is in the Middle East right now. So I have an understanding of what sacrifice means, what it means to serve this country, and what this country means. I have family who are immigrants. My family from way back is immigrants. Everybody that is in here is an immigrant. But let me be clear that there is a lot of people that tend to blur the lines between immigration and illegal immigration. And SB 54 is being blurred with the fact that it's always talking about illegal immigration. It's that people think, they all want to say it's immigration, when the fact is we want to keep this community safe from illegal immigration. And then I've heard people say too, with some statistics, that 70 or 80% of illegal immigrants commit crimes or convicted of crimes. The thing is that 100% of the people that come to this country illegally have committed a crime on day one, and that's the violation of our immigration law. And what I want to point out is that we have a duty as citizens of this country that if we don't like a law, that we need to get people in there that will change the laws or repeal bad laws. There was a lot of discussion in Sacramento when SB 54 was debated, and a lot of the assembly members and senators stated that this is bad law, but yet they voted to pass it anyway. And yet those same people are going to continue to get reelected unless we get out there and vote to get them out, to get people in that are going to stand up for the beliefs that we as a community have. So with that, I think you kind of can see where my position is that, again, and I'm going to say this again because I've said it at several council meetings, SB 54 is another law in California that is bad, along with a long list of laws that are bad in California that aren't good for the people. I have family who are immigrants. I mentioned that are recent. My father-in-law is a citizen of Mexico. He's not here illegally. Let me rephrase that. He is here legally, and it took him many years and a lot of money to get that legal status. And one of the conversations that him and I have had is that it upsets him that illegal immigrants are getting things handed to him on a silver platter. And when it took him a lot of money and many years to get his legal status here. And he is now a very productive tax-paying member of this community. And it's just frustrating for him as a legal immigrant that illegal immigrants are getting a pass. And one of the things that this law has done is I'm about fairness and I'm about equal rights, but what this law has done is created special rights for somebody who comes here and breaks the law. What's next? We have sanctuary status for immigration. Do we have sanctuary status for violent crimes? Do we have sanctuary status for child molest or murder or what you name the crime, and now it's a sanctuary? So my position is, and I think that we're all on the same page, is that we're all opposed to SB 54. So with that, I would like to see our community, our city, move forward with bringing a resolution that will make it known to the state of California our position that we are against this law and that we are not in support of it. We still have to abide by it because it is the law until it gets changed. And because and I think it was made clear too, that we are to protect this community and protect our officers, and the fact that we need to protect our budget, because if we do something illegal and the Attorney General comes after us, we don't have it in the budget to fight it. So we want to make sure that we protect the taxpayer dollars of Hemet as well. So that's my position.
Yeah, just for completing the round robin of official positions, because I think my earlier comments were more addressing some of the comments made by our speakers, but I want to clarify and point out a couple of things. This city successfully passed Measure U, and I think that's a definitive statement that the voting population, at least in the city of Hemet, understands the number one priority, and that is to protect the people in the community, protect their lives and protect their property. And I think the passage of Measure U speaks volumes to that understanding of that priority, which I personally share. Just curious, a show of hands, how many people have actually read the entire Senate Bill 54? Okay, that's good. That's more than I thought. Because a lot of times people take up positions on issues based on what they read or hear on social media, and they don't really do their own homework. So I applaud those of you that have done that. In reading through the bill myself, I found it interesting in some of the opening dialogue that states the legislature finds and declares the following. and they make some rather broad sweeping statements that I found to be a little curious in a preface, I guess, to a law. And the first one that they talk about is immigrants are valuable and essential members of the California community, and so on. So this is to the mayor's point that there is a blurring of the lines right off the bat. They start talking about immigrants, and they're not talking about the distinction between illegal immigrants.